Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Friday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and man, what a weird feeling it is coming on here live and feeling like I don't need to talk about, when is Aaron Rodgers finally going to sign? We're still reacting to the biggest news story in Pittsburgh sports this year. Aaron Rodgers yesterday saying that today he will be putting pen to paper, signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are going to talk about more details about Rodgers signing with the team and more about his situation and what he will be looking to do here in the black and gold. Also, we will talk about a possible new weapon on offense coming to the team. The Pittsburgh Pirates, after a very lengthy rain delay last night, getting washed out by the Houston Astros. A little bit of Pittsburgh Penguins news, not about the new head coach, Dan Muse, but about the NHL draft, which is coming up very, very quickly, and some more loose stories as we come along. First thing is first, I see 6 of you in here right now. Welcome to all of you beautiful people. If you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to comment in the live comment section. I enjoy reacting to what you guys put in there. You can voice any questions, concerns, opinions on Aaron Rodgers or more, whatever you want. I can pop those up on the screen at a minute's notice. And it makes me feel good too, because then I can feel like I'm interacting with you guys and not just talking to a camera here. So we are going to get started right off the bat here, ladies and gentlemen, talking more on what is going on with Aaron Rodgers. The big news story broke around noon yesterday. I hopped on here almost right away live to break down the news as it came in. Rodgers signing a 1-year deal with the Steelers. Last night, the Steelers, they made it official, posting that they agreed to terms with Rodgers, and a contract will be signed pending the completion of a physical. Just some more stuff on that I already haven't said already. Just some new stuff that I came across last night. Jay Glazer, who is pretty much like how Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, he is super tied in with Steelers owner Art Rooney II. Jay Glazer, his best buddy is Mike Tomlin, so kind of like what Dulac says is really what Rooney is saying. What Glazer says is usually something he heard from Tomlin. He was talking on NFL on Fox that Aaron Rodgers will show up for Steelers minicamp next week. And behind the scenes, the team long believed that Aaron Rodgers was going to show up. That's been said a lot ever since news of this broke yesterday. Aaron, for a while, had made them confident he would eventually show up, but was dealing with personal issues, and the team fully supported him in handling that. So a bit of a, hey, we understand you're going through some things. Just, come back when you're ready. I think the Steelers might have given him a somewhat hard deadline with mini camp starting next week. But Rodgers, he, was dealing with some stuff in his inner circle. He said that some people were going through cancer or something he mentioned, I believe, on the Joe Rogan podcast. But now, we were wondering, okay, Aaron, we understand we're going through all that, but now videos are coming out of you, backstage at concerts and playing with water guns, going on podcasts left and right. If you're done dealing with that stuff, it's time to go here. And he tells the team yesterday that he will sign with the team. Real quick, let me hop into the comments section. Welcome back, Flacco. Great to see you as usual. Just some more on this is that Aaron Rodgers coming to the Steelers, he is pretty much a perfect fit. And you know how when we used to be learning math, 2 negatives will make a positive? That's what we're hoping for here. Adam Schefter pointing out very obviously that Rodgers and the Steelers, that they need each other. The Steelers have lost 6 straight playoff games, their longest postseason losing streak in team history. Also, Rodgers, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2020, in which he beat the Rams in the 2020 season, but that win came on January 16th, 2021, over 1,600 days ago. Also, the win-loss records since Super Bowl 45. Mike Tomlin, a 3-9 playoff record. Rodgers, a 7-9 playoff record. So two guys here that coming together finally after long last. I've also seen the videos out there of back when Rodgers was with the Packers and he'd give that little nod, smirk over towards Tomlin. Tomlin would give him a wink, all that mushy stuff. So now finally, at the end of Rodgers' career, probably going to be his last year here coming up, Tomlin finally gets to coach a guy that he's been flirting with for years. But hey, Rodgers coming in here. I see your comment there, Flacco. I'm skeptical, but at least he's accurate. Yeah, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical too. A lot of people are skeptical about this. How he's going to be in the team environment itself. Is he going to be 100% focused? Is he going to hold up back there? 42-year-old man. Even if he doesn't get injured, the week-to-week recovery for him is going to be slower than back when he was in his prime. Is he going to be able to move behind a question mark offensive line that has a lot to prove this year? We'll see, but at least he's accurate. That's kind of like you hear the, phrase, the last thing to go in a boxer is, their punch, their accuracy there. In hockey, I think it's the last thing to go is your shot. In football, last thing to go for a quarterback is the arm. Aaron Rodgers, I've been seeing a lot of highlight videos for him today, and yeah, he can still spin it. So no worries about that there. And like I said, he's going to have a lot to prove. I mean, he's heading into year 21, and just listen off some of these things. This from NFL Game Day here. Aaron Rodgers, he will need at least 1,137 passing yards this year to pass Big Ben Roethlisberger for fifth most in NFL history. He also needs 6 passing touchdowns to pass his former mentor, Brett Favre, for fourth most passing touchdowns in NFL history. So Rodgers chasing two greats, one guy who is the greatest quarterback in Pittsburgh Steelers history, and also his former mentor, Brett Favre, who he kind of, I guess, deep down is a little bit upset that he didn't get to fill his career arc that, I'm going to do what Brett did. I'm going to go to the Jets and then go to the Vikings. But now instead of the Vikings, he is in the black and gold. Also, Rodgers, he will look to join Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees to beat all 32 teams in the NFL when he plays the Packers here in week 6. I almost looked at that. I'm like, all right, I get Favre. He played everywhere. So did, Brady and Manning. They play for two teams. Breeze there got me for a second. I forgot he was a San Diego Charger before. But yeah, Rodgers can become the 5th quarterback in NFL history, 4 bona fide Hall of Famers on that list already. If he beats the Packers here in week 8, he will become the 5th quarterback ever to beat all 32 NFL franchises. Just looking more here. I said, in the header, we have some details on his contract heading into today. Haven't seen anything yet that the deal, that the contract has been signed. I was waiting, pushing off making the live stream for tonight as much as possible because I wanted to put that picture that, the Steelers like to take where the dude's sitting at the table. He's got the pen in his hand. I'm right here. I'm signing. But that hasn't happened yet today. It's supposed to happen today. But last night, Jerry Dulac, who I think was the first to break the news of Rodgers signing yesterday, says it is a 1-year deal, of course, but in that it is less than $20 million. Following that up, Ian Rappaport, he hopped on NFL Network this morning. He said that the deal is going to be having a base salary of around $10 million, so around the $10 million range there, with incentives built in that probably will, take it up maybe around 17 or 20 like people speculated. But, I think he can hit those incentives. I saw some other things here. Aaron Rodgers, I think one of the main reasons is that people looked at his last year overall, but he played a whole hell of a lot better in the final you know, half of the season. I think he showed that he is feeling much healthier coming off that Achilles injury 2 years ago. But I also want you to point out, I saw this here. Rodgers, you can criticize him. Oh, he got most of these stats in garbage time, but also he played a whole hell of a lot better down the stretch. I think that says something about his health. But last year, Rodgers, compared to Josh Allen, Rodgers had more passing yards, nearly 3,900 passing yards compared to Josh Allen's 3,700 passing yards. Each had 28 passing touchdowns, and Allen barely had the better completions percentage, 63.6 to Rodgers 63 even. So that also could, get your hopes up if you are still a little bit of skeptical like me, but also got to remember, if you want to get your hopes up, he may not have the, quickness, the fleet of foot ability, some of his other things, his other qualities, his other skills, abilities, they might have deteriorated a little bit. But Rodgers, he still has the arm. He's still a guy who has the first passer, who is first in passer rating in NFL history at 102.6. Fifth in NFL history for passing touchdowns at 503. Seventh in NFL history for passing yards, almost 63,000 there. And seventh in NFL history with 5,000, seventh in NFL history for completions with 5,369. 10-time Pro Bowler, first team AP All-Pro, and 4-time NFL MVP, as well as a Super Bowl champion. So, Flacco Concepts, I see your comments in there. 10 of you in here right now. If you are new to the channel here, or if you weren't here yesterday for the impromptu live stream on Rodgers signing, I'd like to hear your reactions in the comments there. I can pop those up on the screen here at a moment's notice. Concepts, welcome back. Great to see you back from yesterday's stream. Rodgers was a top 10 QB last year, and with another year removed from the Achilles, he should be more mobile, regardless of his age. Very excited to see what he does here. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying here. I mean, the arm is still there. He can rifle the ball through a keyhole if he wants to. Top 10 QB last year. I think that's something that not many people want to accept, but it's probably true. And yeah, like I said, I think you saw him feeling much better on that Achilles in the second half of last year. He can still move around. He's not as mobile as he once was. He's not going to break off, a big run. He might, throw for a first down more often than he will scramble like he did back in the day. But hey, he can step up, move around in the pocket a little bit, buy himself a little bit of time, and wait for that seam to open downfield, and he'll hit it. Very excited to see what he does too here. It seems like more and more people, they're either one side of, oh, this guy's washed, he sucks, or, I'm glad he's here. I think people take it to the extreme either way. I think there's a happy little medium there where you can, have some doubts, but also, delusions of grandeur aren't that delusional, in my opinion. Is he going to take us to the Super Bowl? Probably not. Matter of fact, I bet that he doesn't take us to the Super Bowl. Do we maybe get a playoff win or two with him? Yeah, if he's healthy, I think he can do it. Also, will we bottom out and go like 4-12? Rodgers has shown that he can do that with the Jets. Then again, the Jets are one of the worst franchises overall in NFL history. And also, Mike Tomlin's his head coach now, the guy who is immune to losing seasons. So we're probably still, in that gray area. You're looking at maybe a 9-8, 10-7, 11-6 season. But Rodgers, as the quarterback, I think you'll see a much more professional offense, a more modern day offense where passing is starting to become king again. Also, Rodgers, I think I saw something. A lot of metrics for the Jets last year. They had one of the worst running games in the league, and now he gets to come to Pittsburgh. He's going to have Arthur Smith, who, I'm sure Rodgers, he might have his own, audibles and play calls and all that, but Arthur Smith's offense is going to be focused around the running game. You got Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, who are two underrated running backs in this league. Also, Caleb Johnson. I think, you give him a good bulk of the reps, he could be in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year after this season. So we'll see. There are some good things when you talk these things out that you can get excited about. And then the other things, you're more or less, thinking about like, oh, what if he's a distraction or whatnot. But hopefully he gets to squash any beef, get to know the guys in minicamp this upcoming week. Cam Hayward, I saw he had some fun with Rodgers finally signing. They were asking him after the final OTAs practice yesterday if he expects to see a new face here next week. And he said, well, Chris Boswell will be here soon. So Cam having a lot of fun there. Be interested to see if there's any questions asked one way or another, to either Rodgers or Deshaun Elliott on Elliott's Instagram comment from a couple months ago where he said, leave his ass at the retirement home about Rodgers potentially joining the Steelers. So like what you guys are doing here, I like the signing. I think we all, think we more got tired of, it dragging out, not over the signing itself. So we'll see how it plays out. Oh, wow. Good people to chase. Yeah, in terms of that, those records, Rodgers is already a Hall of Famer. To me, that just solidifies spots. He was a Hall of Famer before he even went to the Jets. Fourth-time NFL MVP with a Super Bowl. Even if he was just a one-time NFL MVP with the Super Bowl, he would make the Hall of Fame. Definitely first ballot, that's for sure. I just hope that, I talked about that stat there about him being like 1,000 some yards and change away from getting past Ben Roethlisberger for most passing yards in NFL history or something like that. I hope they recognize Ben as a first ballot Hall of Famer. I will say that. Rodgers definitely is. Also, told myself this is that looking at the list yesterday of quarterbacks post Big Ben, Trubisky, Pickett, Rudolph, Fields, Wilson, Duck Hodges in there as well. Think Aaron Rodgers before he's even taken a snap, even at 42 years of age during the season. I think right now I'm not crazy when I say Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback to suit up for the Steelers post Big Ben in 4 or 5 years now since Ben's retired. LOL, I just read Rodgers asked AB to play again. Yeah, AB, don't think you're going to see AB anytime soon. Hate to break it to you. Also, I think I saw Lev Bell wants to come back as well. We got Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell. Hell, I even still think Cordero Patterson for some reason is still under contract with the team right now. So running back room's kind of stacked right now. AB, if he wants to come back, be hilarious. But I think you'll have a chance of Aaron Rodgers. You'll have a better chance of Aaron Rodgers bringing his guys. Alan Lazard, gonna get the whole band back together in Pittsburgh. Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, all that good stuff. Aaron Rodgers, he has that Pat McAfee connection. Maybe he gets AJ Hawk to get off the Pat McAfee show, suit up for the Steelers at middle linebacker. We'll see. Moving on here to the next story I have for the day so far. Oh, that's not it. That's baseball. Here we go. So now that Aaron Rodgers is signed, we can stop talking about waiting for the Steelers to sign him, and now we can shift all of our focus. Well, not all of our focus. TJ Watt still needs a contract extension, but I think we're tabling that towards more towards training camp here. But we can shift most of our focus now to who all are the Steelers going to add to this offense to help give Aaron Rodgers more weapons. We've heard a ton of names so far, in recent weeks. DJ Moore, yesterday, Terry McLaurin's name popped up. You got 2 free agents out there, Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. Alan Lazard is another one on the tight end front. Donald Parham, fortunately, tore his Achilles. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I said it on yesterday's stream or not. He was officially put on the PUP list, I believe, and his season is officially over. So that sucks for Donald Parham. But, tight end wise, there were some rumors Jonnu Smith, some rumored talks for Jonnu Smith down in Miami. But now we have a new one. It's been speculated here in recent days, but I think this is the first time I've seen a big fish NFL insider say it. Ian Rappaport still talking about Aaron Rodgers and him signing on NFL Network this morning. He said that the Steelers want to add one more weapon to the offense for Aaron Rodgers, and he says that the Black and Gold made a phone call on Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts. Pitts, of course, former 4th overall pick, I think, in the 2021 draft. I think he's on the last year of his deal, had an underwhelming career for the most part down in Atlanta, but he was with Arthur Smith for 3 years when Arthur Smith was the head coach down there, so he's got familiarity with the Smith system. I'm interested to hear what you guys think on this. I would, be more open to it. I'm growing more and more open to it. I think a change of scenery can do a lot for a guy. And even though it's the same system where he, kind of floundered in before, he didn't, he had Jonnu Smith, but that was before Jonnu Smith, blew up down in Miami for big yardage and touchdowns and whatnot. So I think you put Kyle Pitts next to Pat Freiermuth. I'd like to think Freiermuth will get more attention than Kyle Pitts, which will make Pitts more open. Now, a tight end coming to the Steelers, I think that's, less likely to happen. Besides, I don't think Rodgers likes to target tight ends too much anyways. But I would like it. Bringing in Kyle Pitts, the memes, PITTSburgh would write themselves. So, I think I looked at his Football Reference page yesterday. 6'6", he's going to recoup some of that height that you lost yesterday when, Donald Parham was ruled out for the rest of the season. 6'6", 246. Not going to be a blocking tight end, but hey, that's why you got Darnell Washington. He can go up and get it. In his career thus far, 61 games, only has, 10 touchdowns, just over 2,600 yards receiving, and doesn't even have 200 career receptions yet. But hey, it's a new day down there in Falcons land. They got a new quarterback, Michael Penix, down there. It will be the second year of who's their head coach? Why am I drawing a blank? I forget. But yeah, I think they might be moving more and more away from the past regime, and I think that's why you saw Jonnu Smith left. I think you can see a whole lot more players get exiled out of there before not too long. Let me go back to the comments section real quick, Jordy. Yeah, Olave or Scary Terry would be awesome. Scary Terry, that is the biggest pipe dream of pipe dreams. They're not going to let him go. I think they're, just trying to save a buck or two with whatever those contract negotiations are going on down there. But you're not going to have Jaden Daniels, a superstar rookie quarterback, and then immediately let his top receiving option or trade his top receiving option away. I don't think that's how that's going to work out at all. I like Kyle Pitts for the Steelers is really good, but not for fantasy football. Yeah, I had him 1 year for fantasy. Not go well. I think it was one of those big years where someone on the waiver wire came in for me. I ended up cutting Pitts by halfway through the year. Depends on what we are giving up. Yeah, that's another thing. I wonder what the price tag is for Pitts. I think for Jonnu Smith, tight end coming off his first Pro Bowl season, had set franchise records down there in Miami. You're probably looking at a 3rd round pick and maybe a late round pick swap because we know Omar Khan likes to do that. For Pitts, his value is going to be very declined. I think the Steelers, if they were to make a call on Pitts, they said, Rappaport said there's talks. If I'm the Steelers, I might not even be willing to give up a day 2 pick, honestly. If it is going to be a day 2 pick, then maybe, I know you can't trade compensatory picks yet, because the Steelers, they're at least going to get 1, hell, maybe even 2 or 3 extra third-round picks by, season's end. If I am going to trade a day 2 pick for Kyle Pitts, I make it a third, but put the condition on it that, hey, when we get these compensatory picks, whatever the lowest one is, you'll get something like that, depending, or it could be, performance-based thing. So we'll see. Also, another thing, too, is that I understand the Steelers. I think, this isn't going to be like last year when Brandon Ayuk is, bending you over a barrel here, just using you to get more money out in San Francisco. I do think the Steelers will legitimately get a second, another receiving threat, whether it's Lazard, Gabe Davis. That's another guy I forgot to brought up. Why did I forget that? He was just here yesterday. Didn't sign, though. But, regardless of who's coming, I think we might need to wait a little bit, honestly. Nick Farabaugh, who's a Steelers beat reporter, I liked what he said here, is that Steelers, they might wait till cut down day after training camp. That's when you saw Tim Patrick and Noah Brown get cut last year, and those guys went to new teams and they contributed pretty well. So might need to wait a little bit after all. Also, I mean, before we worry about getting a second receiving threat, how about we get our first receiving threat there? Rappaport, he also, I think, talked about, DK Metcalf and if he'll show up to training camp. I think DK will show up now. We all remember that throwing session he had with Rodgers at, I think, UCLA. And, I'm sure he probably knew just as well as Mike Tomlin, like, hey, Aaron's coming, so I don't need to be at voluntary stuff. Why do I have to be there if he's not going to be there? Maybe that was his mindset. Also, he could be taking care of new things. I know, I think he either might be having a kid or already had a kid, also got engaged recently, might be planning a wedding. I don't know what all's going on in DK Metcalf's life, but I think he will show up now to mini camp because Rodgers will be there. Also, for those of you who might be worried about him in the slightest bit, it's not like he's at home sitting on his ass munching on candy that he likes. I saw a video this morning. He is at UCLA working out, so I'm sure he'll be on a plane ride to Pittsburgh over the weekend and will be on the field just like Aaron Rodgers, who will be wearing number 8. I keep seeing mock-up pictures of him wearing 12. That might give Terry Bradshaw an aneurysm, seeing how he and Rodgers do not get along whatsoever. If Rodgers were to take number 12, and if the Steelers would lose their mind to even think about giving him number 12, Terry Bradshaw might go full fire and brimstone, and it'd be ugly there. I know Deshaun Elliott said the retirement home comments, but then a couple of days later, after he posted pics of him and Rodgers smiling like friends at a gym or physical therapy place, seemed like just a joke. Yeah, that's what I did too. That's what I picked up on too. I think I know the picture you're talking about. They're both like sort of standing sideways, giving thumbs up. Yeah. Also, Deshaun Elliott, does he seem like the perfect guy, the exact guy who will like talk crap on you in the most joking of ways? I bet you he's one of those guys that keeps it real light in the locker room. So, the retirement comments. I think there might be one media member there that will ask that, and he'll confirm it's a joke there. Be hilarious if it does get brought up. Also, I think Deshaun Elliott, if you follow him on Instagram, I do, him saying to leave Rodgers' old ass in the retirement home, that's the least of the weird comments he's left on posts before. Concepts again, I agreed. Lowest third round comp pick is most I'd give up, but still seems steep considering lack of production. they'd have to believe Pitts can be way better in this offense. I mean, yeah, it's as high as I would go. Third round pick, that's as high as I'm compensatory pick or a third round with conditions. That's the highest I might go for Kyle Pitts. Another thing you got to factor in is, if you're going to sign him, are you just going to trade for him and have him play 1 year, or are you going to give him a contract extension? Because I think he's due one. But that last line right there, they'd have to believe Pitts can be way better in this offense. It's not about him being better than the offense. We saw him, not be good in this offense down in Atlanta. It's just a matter of if he can work and produce in this offense just in a different scenario, not down in Atlanta where during, Arthur Smith's tenure, he had maybe Matt Ryan for a year. I don't remember when exactly he left Atlanta, but he had Desmond Ridder and freaking Marcus Mariota throwing him the ball, which who the hell is going to produce well with those guys throwing the football? If you put Pitts up here with Aaron Rodgers, I feel a whole hell of a lot better. Let me tell you that. Rodgers missing OTAs at least helped Will Howard get more snaps on the bright side. Yeah, don't know exactly how much it helped him, honestly, but I can see that there. I mean, he took second team reps, but then again, OTAs was just practice in shorts. Everybody looks good during OTAs when you're running against ghosts, running routes against ghosts and all that. But at least, one thing, Rodgers missing OTAs, fine. Will Howard, he, automatically wasn't overshadowed and he, got some good work in for OTAs, but now he gets to learn from behind one of the greatest of all time in Rodgers. And I think, I know we talk about on here Steelers, their clear plan being to collect all these compensatory picks and move up in next year's draft if needed to get that quarterback of the future. And even if that does happen, not saying it's not going to happen, but if that does happen, Will Howard learning behind Aaron Rodgers, studying what he does, how he approaches things, what he does out there on the field, I think that might give Howard a little bit of a leg up on whatever rookie comes in here next season. Give Rodgers number one just to piss off Terry even more. I forget Terry getting pissed off at Rodgers wearing number one. Justin Fields, he'd be pissed off. I know we're respecting Gary Anderson here, but I'm still shocked that Fields didn't get number one last year, or that it, hasn't gone to someone else at this point, even, Pickens when he came out of the draft. But, yeah, give Rodgers number one. He's going to wear number 8. And lots of people, hell, maybe even myself, we're going to be taking some good old duct tape to the back of our old Kenny Pickett 8 jerseys and writing with a nice big black Sharpie Rodgers on the back. Okay, real quick, 14 of you in here. I've been seeing the number bounce up between, 14 and 20. I want to thank you all for joining me here on this Friday night. Going to be a more free-flowing episode here. I got some stuff to talk about, but hey, keep the comments rolling in like Flacco and Concepts here. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, like and share this stream, and like I just said, comment in the live chat. Let me do a quick subscriber check. Last time I was on here, this was before the news of Dan Muse being hired as the Penguins head coach back on Wednesday. I was at, I think, 390 subscribers. We broke 400 subscribers during that stream, and then we got a couple more on yesterday's Aaron Rodgers stream. So subscribe to the channel, currently at 402. I appreciate you all very, very much for tuning in. Before we get back into football talk, just going to real quick hit on the Pittsburgh Pirates, the local baseball team. They actually are at least scheduled to start playing here in about 7 minutes. It's a 6:40 start time. As a matter of fact, let me get my TV on here to Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Anyway, they're at least scheduled to start play here at 6:40 last night. They did not get underway on time. A 3-hour and 22-minute rain delay. Absolutely ridiculous delay of play. I honestly just would have canceled the game at that point, but I'm pretty sure I saw a video there of the Houston Astros GM go out and bitching and moaning up a storm to Pirates manager Donnie Kelly, I guess saying like, oh, we're coming from Houston and we don't want to travel back up here just to play one game later this season. So, yeah, that happened. A 3-hour, 22-minute rain delay. At least fans were given 2 complimentary tickets to any game remaining, or to any weekday game remaining this season. Not sure if people will use them, judging by how the team's playing, but anyway, Buccos, they struck first in the game. Jared Triolo doubled. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa got him to third, and then O'Neal Cruz grounded out, playing small ball, sacrificing 2 outs there to get a run across. That is Pittsburgh Pirates baseball in a time where production is key and clutch hitting is key in the MLB. I think it was the next half inning after that, Isaac Paredes, the former Tampa Bay Ray and Chicago Cub, he came up for the Houston Astros. He took Mitch Keller deep. That tied the game. And then the Astros began the onslaught. Single up the middle, made it 2-1. Astros then had another 2-run single, just death by 1,000 paper cuts for the most part. Bucks got one more back. O'Neal Cruz had an RBI single. Seems like he is the only one who can produce lately for the Bucks team. Astros then made it 5-2, 6-2. Another home run by Paredes. His second of the game was a 2-run homer that made it 8-2, and that ended up being the final score of the game. I'm going to be honest, I actually saw Paredes hit the home run, and I was watching the game in my bedroom, and as soon as he hit it, I just turned off the TV. It was like 12:45 in the morning, and I was up early this morning. I wasn't going to make it the rest of the way. I think that was in the 7th or 8th inning. You knew the Bucks weren't coming back. Glad to see I didn't miss anything. And the only bright spot of the game was Ke'Bryan Hayes flashing the leather at third base, still showing that he is the top defensive third baseman in the league. Also, last night, shout out Mitch Keller. I'm going to not blame him too much for the loss last night. I think when you're scheduled to pitch, pitchers, they stick to this hardcore routine, each and every single one of them before every game they start. When you have to then go back to the clubhouse and sit for an hour and a half, that's going to throw a lot of things off for you. But Keller, now with last night's loss, he has still not won a game at PNC Park since July 8th last year. Tough times for the Bucks. Every day is a tough day for them. Every time is a tough time. At least with Paul Skeens still on this team, I'll still follow this team to hell. But I just wish that they stopped going there every single day. Anyways, yeah. Now that I'm looking over at the TV here, this game is not going to start on time. It is absolutely monsooning there at PNC Park right now. And yeah, they are going to go into a weather delay. So, hey, I'm not rushed against time here. Anyway, this will be the first game of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies today. Bailey Falter on the bump tonight. Andrew Heaney and Paul Skeens this weekend. Game will start in a delay, but the lineup for tonight, O'Neal Cruz in center, Nick Gonzalez batting second at second base, off night for Andrew McCutchen. Brian Reynolds bats third and will DH. Spencer Horwitz at first. Alexander Canario in left. Andy Rodriguez catches Falter tonight. Adam Frazier plays in right field tonight instead of second base, where he's been most of the year. Jared Triolo bats eighth at third base, off night for Ke'Bryan Hayes, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, per usual, at shortstop, batting ninth. So that is how the Bucks line up for tonight's ball game. Also, if they hopefully not after a 3-hour, 22-minute delay today, if they do get a victory tonight, Shout out Dan Zangrilli from 93.7 The Fan pointing this out. The Pirates will match their win total under Derek Shelton in 12 fewer games under Donnie Kelly if they win tonight. So, like I said, that game, which was scheduled to start now, will not be starting at least for a little while. If you are watching the game at all, usually follow along on X here. They are pretty up to date, telling you when the game will start. Let's go back to the comments section real quick. X Concepts, appreciate the content. Glad I found your channel. Thank you, Concepts. I appreciate that very, very much. Also, Freight Train, welcome back. What's new in the Pittsburgh sports world? I'm 30 minutes behind in 2 times. Hey, that's all right, Freight Train. You'll catch up in no time. That's actually, I'm feel glad that you go back to the beginning and you watch that go 2 times. That's actually, throughout the day, I listen to a bunch of stuff, 93.7 The Fan. I occasionally listen into the Pat McAfee Show and some other, Pittsburgh outlets, just learn stuff as I come live to you here every night. And that's how I get, try to get through most of all of it during the day here. Just listen to it on 2 times speed and, get caught up that way. Let me do a quick check here on Twitter, see if we got any other news going on that I have not seen since we've gone live. Matt Williamson, we just talked about it there, Concepts and Flacco, about Kyle Pitts. Matt Williamson, go follow him at Williamson NFL on X. He is one of my favorite guys to learn stuff from on Twitter. He's a former NFL scout. Now he's a part of Steelers Nation Radio, also does some stuff for some other outlets in Pittsburgh. We were just talking about what a possible Kyle Pitts trade could look like. He's saying a 4th round pick and a contract extension ? That's pretty much almost spot on what we would do here. If you send a 4th round pick, maybe even because Omar Khan loves to do it, like I said, mix in like, hey, we'll give you a 6, you give us your 7th back, so we're not losing 2 draft picks here. I do it. And then you give him 2-year contract extension, pay him, to be fair, give him at least top 32 tight end money, pay him like he would be a starter on another team. So I'd be interested in that. I'd be all for that. Freight Train, welcome back. I have been chimed in whether I love it or not, but I love the Rodgers deal mostly because we're a much better football team with him than without him. Yeah, I mean, people can complain and moan about him being here, and I think they're scared more than anything of, will Rodgers be a true difference maker here, and what kind of drama he's going to be. We're still very much improved than what we were last year. We're improved at the quarterback position now. I mean, sure, Fields has the most upside with his mobility and whatnot, but Rodgers, best thrower of the football, still one of the best throwers of the football in the entire NFL. And just look at the other team. Rodgers, you got a good thrower right now. Team is much better than they were last year. Defense had run-stopping issues, especially in the later portions of last season. They fixed that with a strong draft. Also, they're getting, healthy players back. Cole Holcomb will be back. Think that's huge. On offense here, offensive line should be much better. Dan Moore Jr. is gone. Broderick Jones, who I know it's OTAs, but at least he looks more comfortable back over at his natural left tackle spot. Troy Fautanu will be healthy. The receiving options are currently better. Swapping out, if you swap out DK Metcalf and George Pickens 1-for-1, that's fine. I think Metcalf is slightly better than Pickens. And also, you got Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. He slimmed down. He'll be a little bit more of a receiving threat. Robert Woods, I think it will be a little bit better than Van Jefferson. Roman Wilson's back healthy. At running back, Caleb Johnson subs in for Najee Harris. Similar build to Najee Harris, but he fits this offensive scheme so much better, and he's also younger legs who hasn't taken a whole lot of punishment like Najee. And unlike Najee, while Najee was just the Thunder. Caleb Johnson can be both the Thunder and Lightning. So the team right now is in a much better spot. Let's all just cool our brakes here if you're an anti-Rodgers guy and see how this plays out a little bit. And people staying in his last 38-yard, 28 touchdown on an argument with bad Jets team. Yeah, I mean, he was with a bad Jets team and he still put up, decent numbers. He tried to make the most chicken salad he could out of a chicken crap situation up there in New York. Flacco welcoming back his buddy freight train in here. Damn, this thing type the hell out of me. What a Flacco. People don't get he had 3,900 yards and 28 touchdowns. Yeah, absolutely. I compared him to Josh Allen numbers. I mean, come on, he can't be that bad. And most of that came later in the season, which, yes, it was garbage time, but also showing that he was much, much better, feeling better on that Achilles. Looking here, not seeing much anything. So with that, going to hit real quick, touch on the hockey team for 1 second, and then we will get into the more Pittsburgh sports news segment of the show where there will be more football talk. The NHL Scouting Combine started today, and of course, all NHL teams, they were there, including Pens GM Kyle Dubas and Penguins picking 9th this year. Or no, they're picking 11th. They were originally, predicted, odds on going to pick 9th, but then the whole draft lottery screwed them. So they pick 11th. They're this prospect class. It's not, top heavy like it will be next year. Gavin McKenna, generational prospect. He'll be in the draft next year. Hopefully the Penguins can get him then. But, just looking at what all went down today, a report came out that General Manager Kyle Dubas, fresh off of hiring head coach Dan Muse, met with one of the first prospects that he wanted to get in touch with at the Combine, Radim Mrtka. Mrtka is his name. However, Radim Mrtka, if you want to pronounce it like that, I think is how you correctly say it. But anyway, I think he's a top 10 prospect, if not a top 15 prospect in this year's draft. The Pens, they should probably have him available to him. But reason why I'm excited about this guy, he played for the Seattle Thunderbolts in the WHL. He is 6'6". Rare that you see 6'6" players in the NHL, but hey, if he can use that height to his advantage, more power to him. He is a defenseman, weighs 216 pounds, 17 years old, from Czechia. He's mainly thought of as a two-way defenseman, but just looking at some of his numbers here, where are his stats at? Stats? Maybe, here we go. Stats with the Seattle Thunderbirds last year: 43 games played, 3 goals, 32 assists, 35 points. Also racked up 46 penalty minutes. So, not sure if that is him getting trouble into penalties or him standing up for teammates, being a stand-up guy. But also, he had 3 assists in 6 playoff games there. So, an all right prospect. Don't have any sort of prospect leaderboard up here right now, but I have heard of him. He is at the top of that list, and I'd be all for taking a defenseman early in this draft. I think you're getting pretty set there on the offensive side of the puck. You got 2 great young prospects in Rucker McGroarty and Ville Koivunen. You might need to replace one now that Vasily Ponomarev is heading back overseas to play in the KHL, but Harrison Brunick, and you get a 6'6" Radim Mrtka there to put next to a future star in Harrison Brunick. I'd be all for it. Also a right-handed shot, so he'll be actually a right-handed shot with Brunick. But yeah, that's what's going on now. The NHL Scouting Combine beginning, and Kyle Dubas getting busy there, speaking with one top prospect. Also, he spoke with the media, saying that trades are coming soon here for the Penguins. He was talking to Josh Yohe of The Athletic, who covers the Penguins, and Dubas going to be active this offseason. That shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Lots of trades and moves are coming, but one particular type of trade will be coming. He said, quote, "I think what is more likely is teams in cap difficulty looking for someone older. If they have younger players available, those younger guys can fit with what we're trying to do here." So we saw this a handful of times last year. We saw him make a trade where you give up, close to nothing to take on a big contract from another team who are slammed up against or over the salary cap. That's how the Penguins got Kevin Hayes, and they also got, I think, another prospect or two, a couple draft picks last year from the St. Louis Blues. That's how they got, I think, Philip Tomasino last year from the Nashville Predators. So we're looking for more trades like that where you feel good about it. You're not a team with much expectations, so you take on a big contract, but you also get a whole heck of a lot back. You're spending, 5 cents to make a, dollar in these cases. Also, some other, two other prospects who are at the scouting combine, both from Sweden. I think it's Victor Eklund and Anton Frondell, two Swedes there. I know Kyle Dubas, he is interested in them as well. Wouldn't be shocked if either one of those two players are Penguins as well here when the draft rolls around. All right, I think we are ready to head into the more Pittsburgh sports news segment of the broadcast. Let me get a drink of water real quick. It's been raining in these neck of the woods. I would open up the window above my laptop here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Not risk any water coming in. Anyways, into the more random news story segment of the day. Thought I had something here. Where'd it go? Right here. All right, so starting back into football, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers. I have no idea if this is true or not, but Barstool Yinzer post this. Aaron Rodgers makes a huge investment buying a gorgeous mansion in the foothills of Pittsburgh. So, listening in the 93.7 The Fan, I've heard some things like, Rodgers, he's looking for a house in Pittsburgh. He might have found one now and bought one. Also heard that Rodgers is looking into joining some golf clubs in the Pittsburgh area. But if this is true, Aaron Rodgers' mansion, nice. 3-par course, golf course in the backyard, a pool house, and a full-service horse stable. Don't know if Rodgers is into horses very much. Well, he's somewhat into horses. He was at the Kentucky Derby. I remember that. So, interesting if that is Rodgers' new home. Also, we were talking about how people are either to the extreme, happy Rodgers is here, or to the other extreme that this is one of the worst decisions that the Steelers have made in their franchise's history. To those of you who say that, this is one of the worst things you've ever seen the Steelers do and that you're done being a Steeler fan, please listen to Cam Hayward. I saw a post of someone burning their jersey saying that they are officially done as a Steelers fan. They were burning a Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey. And shout out to Cam Hayward for addressing this, because a lot of people were, like, what the hell is this clown doing? Cam Hayward commenting, first off, why are we burning Minkah's jersey? That's bonkers. The Minkah jersey right here, actually. Let me see if I can. Why are we burning Minkah? What has Minkah done to you? That's my boy. I don't care if he's, struggled producing in the last year and a half. Why are you burning his jersey? As a matter of fact, he's probably like the last guy that you'd want to see the that you want to burn a jersey. Minka's, if you want to be one of those old school fans where it's like the Steelers, they need to get back to, smash mouth football where, we were working in the mills before the games and then doing all this. None of these guys can play back in the day with all the tough teams, all the tough guys like me and Joe Green and whatnot. Like Minka, he's aside from Cam Hayward, pretty much the golden standard embodiment of Steelers football. So why are we burning his jersey? I agree with Cam there. First off, why Minka's jersey? That's bonkers. Second, why burn when there are plenty of people that need clothes? Absolutely, Cam. You want to be done with a Steeler as a Steelers fan and you don't have any use for a jersey, you're thinking of getting rid of it, take it to Goodwill. I'm sure you can afford to, instead of burning it and watching literal hundreds of dollars in a jersey go up in smoke, why not give it to someone in need or take it to, a Goodwill shelter, something like that. And then third off, you are going to regret it. So agree with Cam there. Just we all have our, problems with teams. We all don't like when our teams make certain moves and we think about, losing some faith as a fan, but don't burn your stuff. Like, that's stupid. Like, one team that's really pissing me off right now is this Pirates. However, if Skeens gets traded here in, 2-3 years, you're not going to see me go out back to my fire pit, dump some lighter fluid on it, and there it goes. Like, don't be dumb. So, yeah, agree with Cam 100% on that. Back into hockey. Or no, not back into hockey. We talked about Donald Parham. He was officially placed on the reserved injured list before the season even begins. That means he is out for the rest of the season. Also, nothing really to do with the Steelers, but some NFL key dates here from Ari Mirov. Thought I would want to put them on here. Rosters for all NFL teams must be cut down to 53 players by August 24th at 4 p.m. before the season begins. The NFL trade deadline this year is November 4th at 4 p.m. So, not sure what day is that. I think that might be, it's usually a Tuesday or a Wednesday, if I'm certain. Yeah, November 4th, that is a Tuesday. So that's at 4 p.m. And then for the 2026 key off-season dates, free agency or the legal tampering period, which you hear about contracts being given out 2 days before they can actually be signed. That's on March 9th at noon. And then, of course, the big one here that everyone in Western Pennsylvania is excited about, the NFL draft, April 23rd through 25th in Pittsburgh. So that will do it for the football news today, unless I see something else on Twitter when I am done here. Back to hockey for a second. Dan Muse, hired as the Penguins head coach. Talked myself into him being a good hire, even though I didn't know he existed before Wednesday. But this is something I mentioned on here before because there were some rumblings that it was going to happen. Well, it did happen today. The Dallas Stars fired head coach Pete DeBoer. If I'm the Penguins, I at least would have, DeBoer, very established, very, successful head coach in the NHL. He's been around the block a time or two, and I know the Pens weren't looking at retreads, but if I was Kyle Dubas, I'd at least hold off for like another day or two, give DeBoer a phone call and see, how he would feel about going under a rebuild for another year or two before the Pens get back into contention. But that was not the case. And now with the Bruins, the last team to hire a head coach, they got theirs yesterday. DeBoer is now out of a job for the Stars and no place open for him. But where there is a opening, at least in an assistant role, in Pittsburgh and also in Vancouver. The Vancouver Canucks, they cleared house on their coaching staff, just like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you're wondering why that matters here. That's because former defenseman Sergei Gonchar was on the Canucks staff, and now he is just floating out there waiting for someone to pick him up. If I'm the Penguins, I'd give Gonch a call. Fix the defense, help them play more soundly. Also have them be, smarter getting up in the rush. Give Gonchar, if Erik Karlsson does stay here throughout the offseason, get Gonchar to fix Karlsson, get him back to some sort of, old Erik Karlsson form and go from there. So we'll see how Dan Muse fills out his staff. But if Sergei Gonchar is one of the hires, hey, more power to him. And that also, I think that will do well, bringing back a coach who's familiar with the city. Back into baseball for a second. The last loose news story that I have here was talking about, how I listened to stuff throughout the day, 93.7 The Fan and all of that. 93.7 The Fan, they actually just completed this morning. They had this from 8 a.m. on Thursday to 10:30 p.m. today. A 5-alarm marathon is what they called it, where they were on air for 26 hours straight. And Paul Skeens yesterday, he joined 93.7 The Fan, and he talked about a lot of things. First off, he made a $1,000 donation. The 93.7 The Fan, they were doing this marathon raising money for local volunteer fire departments. Paul Skeens donating $1,000 to that cause. Also talked about, how much it means to him. He views first responders, firefighters, police, EMS in the same light as military, which he is super passionate about. Also talked about how he doesn't blame fans for not going to games when they suck. His words exactly. He did use the word suck when describing how the team performs sometimes. But he did say that he thinks, quote, we're close. I really believe that, unquote. I hope, Skeens, that you're right. I hope that we are close. Just I hope we are not close enough where it results in the current general manager buffoon, Ben Cherington, keeping his job. So that there from Skeens. Pretty much the only guy worth watching, except for O'Neal Cruz, too. Got to throw Cruzy in there. The only guy worth watching on this ball club right now. So, let me do one more quick stroll here through Twitter, see if we got anything else going on, see if we have a picture or not of Aaron Rodgers signing, or at least a word that he's officially under contract and that the physical evaluation was completed. Looking here. We got Steelers Depot posting a thread on Twitter of Aaron Rodgers' interceptions last year. Let me just scroll through these real quick. All right, there's one that, hit a receiver or a defender and somehow bounced right to a defender. That one there against the Vikings was bad. This one here, another bad pass. Sailed that one way too high to Alan Lazard. This is actually his 3-pick game against the Vikings. That one there, underthrown. Maybe that was that might have been the Mike Williams one. Was that who he was there? Yeah, he was throwing the Mike Williams there. So that was the Mike Williams didn't run the line play there that he threw him under the bus for. That one there. That one was kind of lucky there against the Bills. I mean, he underthrew it a little bit, but your receiver's got to catch that and not fall down there. His 2 here against the Steelers. Once again, Beanie Bishop. Just, getting a hand on that. Another one from Beanie Bishop here that bounced right up to him. Pick number 8. Another one that hit a defender and then bounced up in the air and was caught. Another one tipped at the line, intercepted. Interception number 10. That one was, that one was bad too. And this one here hits his receiver, Devontae Adams, right in the hands and pops up in the air. So you're looking at about, 4 or 5, maybe 6 of his interceptions last year, Aaron Rodgers, not on him entirely. So hopefully that does not follow him here. We do used to remember Aaron Rodgers for being one of the most efficient quarterbacks in terms of protecting the football. I think that's a big part of the reason why Mike Tomlin fell in love with him so much throughout his career. Now we get to see if he can bring back some of that here in Pittsburgh. And I don't think I'm seeing too much else here. I think that might do it for the week here, ladies and gentlemen. And yep, that will do it. Not seeing anything else. Of course, not seeing anything new for the Pirates rain delay here. That game will be in a delay. No new start time announced. So with that, going to call it a week right there. It was a fun week here on the channel. Monday and Tuesday had normal streams. Wednesday and Thursday, 2 big breaking news stories this week. Dan Muse, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Aaron Rodgers, officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. And then we wrapped it all up here tonight with fun interacting show. Lots of comments there. Freight Train, Flacco, Concepts. Appreciate you guys. Had a good bit of viewers here tonight. So I appreciate you all for joining me. Still at 402 subscribers, but that's okay. One final time. 11 of you left in here. If you are new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Help grow the channel. We are over 400 subscribers, so we want to keep that number going up. Also, like and share and comment on this live stream when it is done here today. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me throughout the week, whether it was scheduled live streams like this one here tonight, or it was, hey, we're going live right now because something massive just happened. So I appreciate each and every one of you who tune in, no matter what. And I hope you all have a good weekend and enjoy yourselves. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good weekend. Gonna call the stream here. Let's see how long it takes before the Pittsburgh Pirates take the field tonight. Hopefully it's not another 3-hour plus delay, but we will see. Thank you all for joining me. Flacco Freight Train, peace out. Peace out to all of you in here right now. Love you. See you back here on Monday, where we will be back like this around, between 5 and 6 p.m. per usual, unless something massive breaks between now and then. So thank you all. Have a good weekend. Peace out.